Most people think failure is the end. Like if you fail once, your story is over. But what if I told you failure is not the end at all? What if failure is actually the beginning of something bigger than you ever imagined? Think about it. Every successful person you admire, every great inventor, athlete, entrepreneur, or artist, has one thing in common. They failed. Not once, not twice, sometimes hundreds of times. And here's the crazy part. The reason they became successful is not because they avoided failure. It's because they learned how to turn failure into fuel. So today, stay with me, because this story might completely change the way you look at your own struggles. And by the end, you'll understand why your failures are not your weaknesses. They might actually be your greatest power. Welcome back to English for Tan's Ta Story, where we share stories that inspire, teach, and stay with you long after the video ends. Let me ask you something. Have you ever failed at something that really mattered? Maybe you worked hard for something, a job, an exam, a relationship, a dream. It didn't work out. That feeling hits hard, right? Feels like the world is closing in, like you're not good enough, like you're falling behind while everyone else is moving forward. But listen carefully. That moment right there, that painful moment of failure, is the moment that can shape your future more than any success ever could. Because failure teaches lessons that success never will. Imagine a young man named Thomas. He wasn't special. He wasn't born rich. He wasn't a genius in school. In fact, people around him thought he wasn't smart at all. Teachers said he was too slow, too distracted, too different. He failed in school so badly that he was sent home. Now, most people would have believed the label. Most people would have accepted defeat. But Thomas didn't. Years later, Thomas Edison went on to create the light bulb, change the world forever. But what people don't talk about is how many times he failed before succeeding. He tried over 1,000 times.
Oh, 1,000?
Can you imagine failing 999 times and still saying, "Let me try again"? Someone once asked him, how did it feel to fail 1,000 times? And Edison said something unforgettable. I didn't fail 1,000 times. I found 1,000 ways that didn't work. That is the mindset of success. Failure isn't proof that you're done. Failure is proof that you're trying. If you're trying, you're already ahead of most people, because most people quit before they ever get close. Now, before we go deeper, let me quickly say this. If you're enjoying this kind of motivational storytelling, make sure you hit the like button and subscribe to the channel. It really helps English or Tan's Ta Story grow. It allows us to keep bringing you powerful stories that can change your mindset and your life. All right, now let's continue.
Think about a baby learning how to walk.
Do babies succeed on the first try? No. They fall. They fall again. They fall again and again. But do they ever stop and say, maybe walking just isn't for me? Of course not. They keep going. And one day, they walk. Why do we treat ourselves differently as adults? Why do we fall once and suddenly decide we're not capable? The truth is, failure is part of growth. It's part of becoming. Let me tell you another story. A man once dreamed of becoming a great leader. He wanted to make a difference. He wanted to build a better future. But his life was filled with failure after failure. He lost his job. He went broke. He suffered depression. He failed in business. He ran for office and lost. He tried again and lost again. People laughed at him. They thought he was finished. But he didn't quit. That man was Abraham Lincoln. And after years of failure, he became one of the greatest presidents in American history. Imagine if Lincoln had stopped after the first loss. Imagine if he said, I'm not meant for this. History would have changed forever. And that's the point. Failure is not final unless you decide it is. Every failure is a test, a challenge, an opportunity to rise stronger. But here's the problem. Most people take failure personally. They don't say I failed. They say I am a failure. And that difference is everything. Failing at something doesn't mean you are broken. It means you are learning. It means you are becoming better. Success isn't built on winning all the time. Success is built on surviving the losses and continuing anyway. Let's talk about something real. Have you ever felt like giving up because you thought you weren't good enough? Maybe you started something new, a business, a YouTube channel, fitness journey, a new skill, and it didn't work out right away. You didn't get results. You didn't get support. You didn't get applause. So you felt like stopping. That moment, that exact moment, is where most people give up. But that moment is also where success is hiding, right behind the struggle, right behind the failure. Because the people who succeed are not the ones who never fall. They are the ones who refuse to stay down. Let me tell you about Michael Jordan. Most people call him the greatest basketball player of all time. But did you know he was cut from his high school basketball team? Yes, they told him he wasn't good enough. Can you imagine hearing that your dream is not possible? But Jordan didn't quit. He trained harder. He worked harder. And later, he said something powerful. I have missed more than 9,000 shots in my career. I have lost almost 300 games. I've failed over and over and over again in my life. That is why I succeed. Read that again in your mind. That is why I succeed. Not despite failure. Because of failure. So let me ask you, what failure are you facing right now? What disappointment is sitting heavy on your heart? What dream feels distant because you messed up? Let me tell you something. That failure is not your ending. It might be your turning point. But only if you choose to learn from it. Only if you choose to rise. Here's what turning failure into success really means. It means asking yourself, what is this trying to teach me? Failure is feedback. It shows you what needs to improve. It shows you what doesn't work. Shows you where to grow. But if you run from failure, you run from growth. Success comes when you embrace the lessons, when you adapt, when you keep going and listen. Nobody becomes great overnight. The journey is messy. The path is painful. And sometimes, the only way forward is through failure. Now, in the next part of this video, we're going to explore the exact steps that successful people take after failure, and how you can train your mind to turn setbacks into comebacks. Because the truth is, your greatest success might be waiting on the other side of your biggest failure. So don't go anywhere, because this is where everything starts to shift. Most people think success is something you achieve one day, like flipping a switch. But success is not one big moment. It's a long process of getting back up again and again. And here's something no one tells you. Failure is not the opposite of success. Failure is part of success. The real difference between people who win and people who quit is not talent. It's not even intelligence. It's persistence. It's mindset. It's the ability to fall and still keep moving forward. Let's imagine this. Two people start the exact same journey. They both have a dream. Both want a better life. They both fail early. One person stops. They take it as a sign. They say, "This isn't for me." The other person pauses, learns, adjusts, and tries again. 5 years later, that second person looks like a success story. But what people don't see is that they were both equal at the beginning. The only difference was what they did after failing. That's why the moment after failure is the most important moment of all. Because failure gives you a choice. You can let it destroy you, or you can let it develop you. Now let me tell you a story about someone who failed so badly the entire world watched it happen. A woman named Oprah Winfrey. Today, she's one of the most successful media personalities of all time. But early in her career, she was fired from her first television job. They told her she wasn't fit for TV. Imagine that. The person who would later inspire millions was told she wasn't good enough. Most people would have given up. Most people would have believed it. But Oprah didn't. She kept going. And later, she said something powerful. Turn your wounds into wisdom. That's what failure can do. It can become wisdom, can become strength. But only if you let it, because failure doesn't come to ruin you. Failure comes to reveal you. It shows you how strong you really are. It shows you what matters. It shows you what you're capable of surviving. And sometimes, failure is life redirecting you. Think about how many times something didn't work out. And later, you realized it saved you from something worse. Maybe you didn't get the job, later found a better one. Maybe a relationship ended, and later you found peace. Maybe you lost an opportunity, and later discovered your real purpose. Sometimes failure is not rejection. Sometimes it's protection. Now let's talk about the fear of failure, because that fear stops more dreams than failure itself ever could. So many people don't even try, because they're scared of failing. They stay stuck in the same place. Failure feels embarrassing. But listen, every master was once a beginner. Every champion was once a nobody. Every strong person was once someone who struggled. The only way to grow is to risk failure. It's the only way to succeed is to be willing to fail. Let's look at it another way. If you never fail, you're probably not aiming high enough, because big dreams come with big mistakes, and big success comes with big setbacks. Failure is proof that you are reaching beyond comfort, and comfort never creates greatness. Now, how do you actually turn failure into success? Let's break it down through story, not theory. Imagine a man building a business. He puts his savings into it. He works day and night. He believes it will succeed, but it collapses. He loses money. He loses confidence, feels ashamed. Now the question is, what does he do next? Most people quit. They say, I'm not built for this. But successful people do something different. They ask, what went wrong? What can I learn? What can I do better next time? They treat failure as a teacher, not an enemy. Because failure teaches you discipline. It teaches patience. It teaches resilience. It teaches humility. And resilience is the foundation of success. Let me tell you about J.K. Rowling. Before Harry Potter became a global phenomenon, she was struggling deeply. She was a single mother. She was broke. She was rejected by 12 publishers. 12 times they said no. 12 times she was told her story wasn't good enough. But she kept going. And that same story became one of the most successful book series of all time. Now imagine if she stopped after rejection number 3, or number 5, or number 10. The world would have never known Harry Potter. That's how close success often is. Right after the moment you want to quit. So the lesson is simple. Failure is not a wall, it's a doorway. But you have to walk through it. Here's another truth. Success is not about never breaking. It's about breaking and rebuilding stronger. Because failure shapes character. It gives depth. It gives strength. Think of life like a muscle. Muscles don't grow by staying comfortable. They grow by tearing and rebuilding. Failure is the tear. Growth is the rebuild. Now let's talk about something personal. Maybe your failure isn't public. Maybe no one knows about it. Maybe it's internal. Maybe it's a dream you didn't chase. It's a chance you didn't take. A goal you gave up on. Sometimes the biggest failure is not trying at all. And regret. It's heavier than any mistake. So don't let fear keep you stuck, because you are capable of more, and the only way to find out is to keep going. Let me share a mindset shift that can change everything. Instead of saying, I failed, say, I'm still learning. Instead of saying, I'm not good enough, say, I'm improving. Instead of saying, it's over, say, this is part of the journey, because the story isn't finished. You're still here, and as long as you're still here, there's still a chance. Turning failure into success means refusing to let one chapter define the whole book. It means understanding that setbacks are setups, that pain can become power, that mistakes can become momentum. Now, in the next part, we're going to go even deeper. We're going to talk about the hidden reason failure builds the strongest people, and how you can use your lowest moments as the start of your greatest comeback. So stay with me, because the most powerful part of this story is coming. You see, failure has a secret purpose, and most people don't realize it. Failure doesn't just test you, it transforms you. It shapes you into someone stronger than you were before. In fact, some of the greatest success stories in the world began with a moment that looked like complete defeat, a moment where everything fell apart, a moment where quitting felt easier than continuing. But those moments, those are the moments that separate ordinary lives from extraordinary ones. Let me tell you why. Failure forces you to face yourself. It strips away excuses. It reveals your mindset. And it asks one question. Are you serious about what you want? Because dreams aren't proven when things are easy. Dreams are proven when things are hard. Anyone can feel motivated when life is going well. But the real strength is showing up when you feel broken. The real courage is continuing when you feel tired. The real success is rising after the fall. Think about this. Diamonds don't form in comfort. They form under pressure. And your greatest strength will never come from comfort. It will come from the pressure you survive. Now let's talk about something important. Most people see failure as a stop sign, but successful people see it as a direction change. Sometimes failure is life saying, not this way. Try a different path. And that is not weakness. That is growth. Some doors close because better doors are waiting. But can't see them. If you stop walking. Let's imagine a runner in a race. He trips. He falls. The crowd reacts. Now he has two choices. He can stay down, or he can get up, even with dirt on his clothes, even with pain in his knees, and keep running. That runner who gets up. That runner becomes unforgettable. It's because winning isn't always about being first. Sometimes winning is simply refusing to stay down. That's what turning failures into success really means. It means you don't let your worst moment become your last moment. You let it become your starting point. Now let's talk about failure and identity. One of the biggest traps is when people connect failure to who they are. They don't think I made a mistake. They think I am the mistake. But you are not your failure. You are not your setback. You are not your worst day. You are the person who survived it. You are the person who is still trying. And that matters more than you know. Because success is not about perfection. It's about persistence. Let me tell you about a man named Steve Jobs. He helped create Apple, one of the biggest companies in the world. But did you know? He was fired from Apple. The company he built removed him. That could have destroyed him. That could have ended everything. But Jobs didn't let it end him. He started over. He built again, and later, returned stronger than ever. Apple became bigger than anyone imagined. Jobs once said, "Sometimes life hits you in the head with a brick. Don't lose faith." What a line. Don't lose faith, because failure will hit you. Life will hit you. But your future depends on what you do after. Now here's something I want you to really hear. Your failure might be the training ground for your success. The struggle is preparing you. The pain is shaping you. The delay is building patience. The setback is creating strength. And one day, you will look back and realize you had to go through that because it made you who you are. Now let's talk about the comeback.
Because every great story has a comeback. People love comeback stories. Why? Because they remind us that falling isn't the end. That broken doesn't mean finished. That darkness doesn't last forever. And maybe, right now, you are in your comeback season. Maybe you don't feel it. Maybe you're still in the middle of it. But the middle of the story always feels uncertain. The middle is messy. The middle is hard. But the middle is not the end. So keep going, even if it's slow. Even if it hurts. Even if no one notices. Because progress is progress. And the only real failure is giving up completely. Let me give you a powerful mindset. Failure is temporary. Quitting is permanent. Failure is a moment. Quitting is a decision. And you are not done. Not yet. You still have more chapters ahead. Now, let's make this real for your life. What is something you've been afraid to try again? What dream have you been holding back from? Because you failed before. Maybe it's a business idea. Maybe it's school. Maybe it's fitness. Maybe it's love. Maybe it's your creative passion. Whatever it is, don't let one failure convince you it's impossible. Because failure is not proof you can't do it. Failure is proof you're on the path. And if you stay on the path, you will grow, you will improve. You will become stronger, and success will come. Not because you never failed, but because you didn't quit. Now, we're getting close to the final part of this full story, and in the next part, we're going to deliver the strongest emotional ending, the message that ties everything together, and the final call to action that will inspire people to comment, share, and reflect deeply. So stay with English because the best ending is still ahead. You know, when people look at successful lives, they only see the highlights. They see the victory. They see the money. They see the confidence. They see the applause, but they don't see the nights of doubt. They don't see the moments of failure. They don't see the tears, the fear, the loneliness, and they don't see how many times that person almost gave up. That's why failure is not something to hide from. Failure is proof that you're human. And more importantly, failure is proof that you are in the process of becoming. Let's be honest. If life was always easy, you would never grow. If everything worked out the first time, you would never build resilience. If you never failed, you would never discover how strong you truly are. Failure is not your enemy. Failure is your teacher. Failure is your trainer. Failure is the fire that shapes the strongest version of you. Think about every great story you be. Ever heard? The hero always struggles. The hero always falls. The hero always faces obstacles. And that's what makes the victory meaningful. Because a story without struggle is boring. And your life is not meant to be boring. It's meant to be powerful. But power is built through pressure. Strength is built through storms. Success is built through setbacks. So when you fail, don't ask, why me? Ask, what now? Ask, what can I learn? Ask, how can I come back stronger? Because failure is not a full stop. It's a comma. It's a pause before the next chapter begins. And that next chapter can be the greatest chapter of your life. Let me tell you something that might stay with you forever. You don't become successful by avoiding failure. You become successful by surviving it, by learning from it, by rising after it. Every failure you've been through has already proven something. It has proven that you can endure hard things. It has proven that you can face disappointment and still breathe, still move, still try. And that means you are stronger than you think. Maybe right now, you're in a season where nothing feels right. You feel behind. You feel stuck. You feel like you've messed up too much. But listen, your story is not over. Your future is not cancelled. Your dreams are not dead. They are waiting. Waiting for you to stand up again. Waiting for you to take the next step. Even if it's small. Even if it's shaky. Even if you're scared. Courage is not the absence of fear. Courage is moving forward in spite of it. And success is built the same way. One step after another. One lesson after another. One comeback after another. So if you remember anything from this video, remember this: failure is not falling down. Failure is staying down. As long as you keep rising, you are winning. And one day, the thing that broke you will become the thing that built you. The setback you hated will become the strength you needed. The failure you cried about will become the foundation of your greatest success. Because turning failures into success is not about luck. It's about mindset. It's about resilience. It's about refusing to quit on yourself. And you owe yourself that. You owe yourself another try. You owe yourself the chance to become who you were meant to be. Now I want to ask you something. What is one failure in your life that taught you something important? What is one setback that made you stronger? Drop it in the comments below, because your story might inspire someone else who feels alone right now. And if this message connected with you today, please share this video with someone who needs encouragement. You never know who is quietly struggling, and your share could help them keep going. Thank you for spending this time with English Your Tunsta Story. Keep believing, keep trying, and always remember, your failures are not the end of your story. They are the beginning of your success.